True Warrior Football. True Warrior Football. True Warrior Football.
You are listening to True Warrior Football Podcast with your host, Corey Kid Smith.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Corey Kid Smith. You're watching and listening to another great episode of True Warrior Football. First, before I can get to the week that we have in front of us, I have to talk about the week that we just came out of. Our Warriors went on the road and played a very tough game against the Lawrence Central Bears, and we came out on top victorious. Score 25-16 was the final score. A game that had a lot of emotion in it. Real physical game for us. Our guys really played a phenomenal game. Probably the best game we've played so far this year. And we started off the game. Offense drove down. We played well. Let me just say that. Had a 17-0 lead at halftime. One of the best halves we've been able to play as a team in some time. Against a quality opponent. Okay, I mentioned last week how I challenged our team to play 4 quarters of great football, because we hadn't been able to do that in so long. And the team, I felt like, truly responded to that. And that first half was really good. Defense forced turnovers, had a block punt from Chris Norton, number 44 Chris Norton right there, that ended up resulting in a safety for us. Our man Fats, number 23, and we get his name out there so everybody know, Armonte Jackson had his first career interception. Probably could have been a pick six, but he said afterwards he just wanted to make sure he got a good hand on the ball, which I'm glad, take care of those things. But it was moments in the game like that, early in the game, that helped us tremendously later in the game. We kept great pressure on their offense, and just we did not let them have anything easy all night. Offense, quarterback Keith Jackson was phenomenal. I would say this is probably the best game he's had so far this season. Had 2 rushing touchdowns. The first one was probably about 40 yards or so. Second one, not nearly as long, but still 6 points. And then a great, when we're driving later in the game, we're driving, LC gets a score, they make it 17-8. We're driving, running the ball, pounding the ball. And I was like, man, I'll say to one of our coaches, Coach Humphrey, on the sideline, I was like, man, now will be a great time for a boot. A great time for us to fake it and hit the deep pass. And sure enough, we do it. And Keith hits number 87 here, Ray Holman, for a touchdown, a wide open walk in the end zone touchdown. And we got 25-8. It was at this point where I was like, okay, we're playing really good football here. We're deep into the fourth quarter. Defense is playing well. We've put some great hits on their quarterback. They had to change quarterbacks and put Bryson Luther in at a wide receiver for a little bit. Let a young guy come in at quarterback. When I see things like that, that's telling me that team is like, all right, we're beaten. The game is out of hand. Let's, do some things just to get this game over with, which I was fine with. I'm sure our coaches were fine with as well, because we all know the job that we have in front of us for this week that we're trying to get to. But unfortunately, emotion got the better of both teams. To say it simple enough, emotion got the better of both teams, and this play right here happened. And, stuff like this cannot, it's detrimental to both teams moving forward. Because then, as a result of this play right here, you have to stop your game. Whatever momentum you had on one side gets switched to the other side, or just gets negated completely. And then from there, you have players that aren't allowed to play in the game anymore. They get thrown out, ejected. And when you get thrown out of one game, you can't play the next week. And as tough as that is for that game, it's even worse for the next week for that team. And so for us, we had this situation happen last year. Olin Nailey, offensive lineman, one of our best offensive linemen last year, probably the best offensive lineman we had last year. For better or worse, he didn't mean to. There was a scuffle at the end of a play last year, and he's trying to get guys off, and he ends up bumping into a referee. Referee tosses him. We lose Olin in the sectional championship. He's not able to play in the regional championship against Center Grove. When you lose a key player in a game, a key player like that, it's tough. And it's hard for a team to replace those guys. And so now, fast forward to our LC game this year, we're up 25-8. Big fight happens. Players get thrown out. And not one, but two players. Two key starters that we will not have this week. And these guys were playing phenomenal football for us. We were doing so many good things on defense. This is probably defensive coordinators, Coach Corey Clark, one of his best game plans that he's been able to put out and have executed properly so far this season. To do the things that we did against an LC team that's capable of scoring 30, 40, 50 points. And to hold them scoreless in the half. Barely scrambling to get points in the third quarter. To do that is remarkable. But to have the rug pulled out from under us like this, it's tough. But that's the game of football. And now we have to have next man up. So the guys that remain, take care of business. It's on you now. The guys that played, of course, that's on them. But the guys that are behind, it's time for others to rise, to answer the challenge that is before them. You got guys that unfortunately can't be out there. What can you do to help your team? Every week I'm on the sideline or seeing guys on the sideline, and some of them are gauged, are paying attention, are focused. Those are the guys that we need this week. That laser-like focus to be ready to go in at a moment's notice when your number's called. That's what we need. Now, we ended up winning the game 25-16. They drove down the field, got another touchdown, got the ball back. And we came up with another huge fourth down stop that really sealed the game for us. And I think in this game we had probably about 3 or 4 possessions or stops that came up that way where LC went for it on fourth down and weren't able to convert. And it's little things like that this year that I've seen from our guys. I see from seniors like a Ladre Harris or Sean Pennington going out there making big stops in secondary. My guys, Damian Shanklin or Tyrone Burris, making huge plays. Our guys weren't, Jeremy Finch Jr. was not able, they could not block us. To start the year, it was said that this is one of the most talented defensive lines in the state. And we've seen bits and pieces of it the first 3 weeks. This past week, I feel like it was really, truly awakened. Marcus Bell stepped up, made some huge plays. Chris Snorton made some big plays. As I said, he had that big block. Paris Green being an absolute terror in the middle. All those guys are going to step it up this week. Dungy twins got to step it up this week. Had some big plays. Let's take it a bit further. Because now LC is behind us. We're 2-2. We won the Lantern Trophy, a trophy I didn't know anything about. A trophy from the 90s and prior years where Lawrence Central and Warren Central had a traveling trophy. It's a nice looking trophy. It's nice. I'm glad Principal Taylor and the admin over there at LC were able to find it and get this thing back going. It's back on the east side. Back where it belongs. But our program, and I've said this many, many, many times before, our program was not built on beating the Lawrence schools. It was not built on competing against North Central or Pike. Heck, it really isn't about trying to compete with the Carmels and the Center Groves. Yes, I know Carmel is a top dog. Center Grove is a top dog right now. But historically, our program has been about beating Ben Davis. Flat out. Beating Ben Davis is what has made our program great. And this week, I look forward to this week. As soon as the schedule's released, I look on there. I don't look at see who we play week 1. I don't care. I just want to know when the Ben Davis game is. I know where it will be. I need to know when it will be. September 15th. Had it marked on my calendar for the last 2 months. Let's go. Let's go. And leading up to this week, I always like to do things. This week is a huge week for me. When I start this show in 2018, I make sure the Ben Davis game show that I put out was going to be the best. Next year, I had Darren Evans on, the Ben Davis killer. Year after that, always make sure I did something good for this game because it meant the most. But not this year. Not saying this game doesn't mean the most, but here's what I'm saying. The last couple of years, we've faced Ben Davis. And outside of 2018, we've not had much success against him. 2019, 2020, 2022, 0-3. And if it wasn't for the tremendous comeback and effort in 2021, thank you to quarterback Daniel Tippett IV, and those guys on that team, Joe Walker, Khalil. Defense stepped up, made some big plays late. Victor Boyd, RIP, coming up with the huge onside kick recovery. We be looking at going over against Ben Davis since 2018. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. We gave up 42 points to them last year. 42-28 was the final score. We had a 21-7 lead at one point in that game. Dominated, came out the gates, and we let it slip. Second half was a disaster. We can't let that happen. We must get back to being a force. And to be that force starts right here. This week, this game. At their place even. No one team in the state, I feel like. You see them, Brownsburg, HSC, Westfield, or Center Grove. Those are the top dogs. I'm looking around, I'm seeing everybody predicting, it's going to be Ben Davis 40-something, Warren Central 20. It's going to be a blowout for the Giants. They're the best team in the state. Only team that could beat them was IMG. Well, you know what? If that were the case, if we didn't have a chance in this game, why even play it? Just roll out. Just say, it doesn't matter. Warren Central is not any good. Go and let those guys, Let's go let Ben Davis have this one. No, that's not how things go. That's not how things go at all. I mean, we see it every week in football. Teams that have no business being in games. Teams that have no business losing games. Losing badly. Teams that should not even been able to compete. Not only do they compete, they win. Win soundly even. That's the game of football, man. It's not one on paper. It's not one right here. It's not one on this. It's one on the field. In between those lines. Yeah, they have talent over there. I'm not going to sugarcoat that at all. They have some very good players on their side of the field. Their quarterback last year had a really, really good game against us. A really good game against us. As some key pieces, key players back from last year's team, they had some really good performances against us. We lost a lot of our guys. But once again, can't worry about that. Last year's over. Now it's time to make a statement this year, right here, right now. Let's go out here and do it. Last week, I challenged us to do 4 quarters. We almost got there. I'll give us credit for 3. We came up short. We still won. We came up short. This week, we need 4 quarters of solid, great Warren Central football. We do that, I know we will come away victorious. And you don't have to worry about no traveling trophy or anything like that. Play for the pride. Play for your brothers on the side of you. Play for the legends that came before you. So many greats made their name in this game. I talk about the 2021 game all the time because it's one of the best games I've ever witnessed. The people that played in that game made their names known, made marks that will forever be talked about in this legacy of this rivalry. Never be duplicated. 57-56, non-overtime game. Backup quarterback coming in, starting in half. Those interception comes back. Those dimes all over the field. Didn't take it all the way back. 2002. Long before any of our players were born. Had a 13-game losing streak. They had embarrassed us the year before. James Banks ran all over the field on us. He gone. We beat them in overtime. We rushed the field. Last time I ever saw that happen for our program, 2002, my freshman year. Come back in the regional, they beat us in one of the toughest, coldest regional games I've ever witnessed. They go on to win state. Then our run started. Then it was our time. 4 straight state titles. Those 4 state teams, 03, 04, 05, and 06, a combined 7-0 against Ben Davis. 3-0 in the playoffs. I wish so badly that Ben Davis was good my senior year to have made it to the regional so we could have beat their butts again. I want to win this game more than any game on our schedule each and every year. People always ask me, kid, what do you think is going to happen this week? Give me a prediction for this week. I don't do predictions. This is what you know what? This is what I predict for this game.
What's your prediction for the fight then?
Prediction?
Yes, prediction.
Pain.
Pain. That's what I predict. Pain. We're going to go out there. We're going to make them feel pain. We're going to make them know that if you are going to beat us, you are going to have to kill us almost. That is what it's going to take. Because too many great players have come through this program and gave it their all for us not to do the same in return. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. And another reason why I'm looking forward to this game, our former guy, Coach Mann. Russ Mann, longtime defensive coordinator for our program. Matter of fact, have tremendous respect for Coach Mann. I have this picture here. 2018. Us right here with the trophy after we won it. Tremendous respect for Coach Mann, his family. He's now, of course, as you guys know, the head coach of Ben Davis. Good for him. Good for him. He's led that program so far to be a very talented, well-coached team. Have all the great respect for him. But as I say that, he knows it, and I know it. I still want to go over there and beat them badly. There was a social media post rolling around out there. I don't think it's real. I know Coach Mann, and what was said seemed like something that was a troll post, a fake post made online, and it spread around talking about our offensive line, our O-line, D-line is going to dominate. Some garbage. Absolute garbage. Pay no attention to that. That's a distraction. Pay no attention to that at all. It's fake. Don't believe it. It's now on his Twitter profile. He wouldn't put that out there because he's been in this program. He knows the history of this program. He knows what needs to be done in this game. He respects his rivalry. That is one thing I for sure, surely can say. He respects his rivalry. So I saw what was circulating around. I was like, no, that's not real. And I couldn't find it, so I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. But we cannot go in this game and want to make it about him. About him being over there on that sideline. Because that does not matter. It's not about him. It's not about them. It's about us over here. It's always been about us. Never them. That's what we have to remind ourselves. You know, Coach K said last week in the halftime, or no, before the game started. He said a lot of things, but at the end, he said it's personal. And I thought it was real interesting because he said it. Then I heard it from Deion Sanders in their pregame against Nebraska last week in their speech. It's personal. Heard that a bunch of times in the NFL game. It's personal. It's personal. Personal. A lot of guys probably going to make this thing personal, which, hey, by all means, make it personal. But go out there and take care of business while you're making it personal. That's what we got to do. That's what we have to remind ourselves to do. Because we could very much come out of this game 3-2. Have a very strong lead on the conference. And building momentum for the playoffs. Because people look at our record and say, oh, you lost those 2 games to Fort Wayne. Yeah, we lost the game to 5A number 1, Fort Wayne Snyder, and top 10 ranked Fort Wayne Carroll team on the road in a close game. So when I look at that, I look at the games that we have lost. I say, you know what? Those are building points on the season. How do we improve? How do we evolve as the season moved on? It's just another one of those games for us. Can we go out there and play the game that we're capable of? Can we go out there and take the stats that we did last week on offense and defense and take it up a notch? That is what I'm looking to see. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm fired up. Let's go. Let's come back to the east side from the west side with a dub. And now, as I say that, let's progress forward and talk about our guys at the next level. All right. Not going to keep you guys too long here. I'm going to keep this episode a little short. Had to talk about a few of our guys. Got to start off with our guy, Ramir Elliott. Hey, SIU has had a really strong start to the season. They're 2-0. This past week, they went up to Northern Illinois and FBS school won the game. Won the game 14-11. If you didn't know, last season, SIU was the only team in FCS to go and play in FBS school and win a game. And they've done it again this year, and it's a huge, huge accomplishment for that program. Ramir had 62 yards rushing in the game. He had a touchdown. I think it was the second quarter that gave them a 14-0 lead. And apparently that's all that they needed because the score was 14-11 to end the game. But no, he's been tremendous for them so far. He also had 2 catches for 23 yards in the game. Led the team in rushing yards. I want to say he's leading the team overall in rushing yards as well. Don't have those complete numbers, but I believe he is the leading rusher so far on the team. SIU is now ranked number 15 in FCS. They travel to their rival, SEMO, Southeast Missouri. And Southeast Missouri is number 12 on the season so far. So that's going to be a huge game in their annual War for the Wheel rivalry. They get a big, like, ship's wheel, something like that. They're on opposite sides of the Mississippi River, and they're like 40 miles apart. So huge rivalry game for them. So Ramir, Best of luck to you this week in that game. Hey, we're cheering for you, buddy. Moving on. GVSU, Grand Valley State. I didn't talk about Therese last week when I talked about our guys. That was a mistake on my part. I knew about them out there. Of course I knew about them. I just didn't let them off my list. Don't know how. Don't know why. It happened. We're going to forget it. Moving on, though, Therese has had a really good start to his season. Their first game was a tough loss to Colorado School of the Mines, number 2 team, and I think they are Division 3, I believe. Yes, either Division 2 or Division 3. And tough loss to Colorado School of the Mines, 31-28. He had 6 tackles in that game. Last week, though, he stepped his game up, had his first career interception. Huge win for them over Colorado State Pueblo. I think the score was 57-49. Shootout, double overtime game. But, they're doing some really good things up there this season. They had a great season last year. Hopefully, they're looking forward to going a little bit further this year. So, best luck to Reds. They faced off against Assumption University, who comes into the game 2-0 this week. And lastly, we have guys at Anderson I didn't talk about, and that's my mistake as well. We have 3 guys there at Anderson. Josiah Hardy, freshman offensive lineman, was a big player for us last year. Has been a big player for the Ravens this year. He's been a starter for the first 2 games. That's crazy. Crazy. Last couple of years, man, we've had guys that have been seniors, leave our program, go to college at the next level, and be starters there as well. Quinn Scholler did it last year. Josiah Hardy is doing it right now. Also, Olin Naley is doing it for St. Francis as well. So, shout out to our coaching staff, man. Shout out to Coach Griner. Huge accomplishment, man. You've done a great job coaching up our guys. And Josiah is doing very well. Although Anderson is not, they've not produced much so far this season, I'm looking forward to seeing Josiah help them get to the next level and doing some good things. But Josiah's there. Bryce Dorsett, defensive lineman, is there. He had a tackle last week in game against DePaul. And William Victory as well. I think this is he's a second-year guy for Anderson. So congrats to all those guys. Continue to do well. Anderson faces off against Alma this week. And I was sent this picture here of our guys, William Victory and Josiah Hardy, as long with former Warren player Daniel Tippett IV. I love Daniel. I love that he's at DePaul doing some good things right there. I think this is a highlight this is a picture from their regular game. So he's been able to do some good things for DePaul as a backup quarterback. So congrats to him and his family. Loving seeing what's going on there. And yeah, and folks, that's all I got for you this week. Huge game. We're going to be the game of the week. I'll make sure to get a link out to everybody so everybody can watch that is not able to make it out to the game. If you are able to make it, travel out to the west side, make a lot of noise, enjoy it. It's going to be a great time, a great game, a great battle between the Warriors and the Giants like it always is. As always, I'm your host, Corey the Kid Smith. Let's watch and listen to another great episode of True Warrior Football. Make sure to share and subscribe. Hey, as always, Warrior Band, take us away.